morning, everybody. As the title says, today we're talking about Pothos and family. I took a couple days off because we had to fly back to the Midwest to celebrate some family. It's always strange talking about the concept of celebrating loss, but we're not celebrating the loss. We're celebrating the life, the information, the knowledge, the laughter, everything involved. And so, of course, not only are my sinuses on fire, so sorry if I'm a little runny or sneezy, but going back and forth from allergens, even though I'm not a big allergy person, it's still got me triggered. So we spent a lot of time around family, and as you'll get the motif about this channel, we're very family oriented. Knowing your family, loving your family, appreciating your family while they're here is paramount. And so when I'm talking about family, what better to talk about than the Pothos family? There are two species that are commonly referred to as Pothos. You have Epipremnum, and that's commonly referred to as like your snow queen, marble queen. Growing up, this is all I ever knew to be Pothos. And then I learned about satin Pothos, aka Syndapsis. I wish I had more versions of that to share, because we have in the Epipremnum, you got the mutant Mandula, the Snow Queen as shown. We got a little pot here with everything. There's some Global Green, some Marble Queen, not Snow Queen, and probably even some extra regular green. I know, rare these days. And then I went out into my front yard and pulled some Hawaiian yellow. I don't know if golden Pothos and giant Hawaiian Pothos are different, actually. Haven't gotten into plant genetics yet, but it's a big family, and it's confusing because, again, people call them Pothos, but they call them Epipremnum, Syndapsis. Which one's which? You may not know as an amateur. They're often commonly referred to as some of the easiest houseplants to keep. And I know at least one or two people, my sister, who struggles or has struggled in the past to keep them alive. And so I thought they would be a perfect example of the family chat. Because plants are different. Everything's different. You can't treat a cactus like you did a syngonium or a palm. And so when it comes to family, you can't treat everyone exactly the same. And that's a strange concept because everyone wants equality. I remember having discussions with my wife about it. I'm sorry, I can't treat my 11-year-old son and my 7-year-old daughter exactly the same. They are different sizes. One's bigger and stronger. I can't ask the 7-year-old to carry the same amount of groceries. And you can't expect your plants to carry the same amount of photosynthesis. You can't expect them to carry the same amount of ease, especially when this is your first time ever doing it. This is my first time being this age. My kids are at their maximum oldness in my life, so this is the first time I've had to experience them going through teenagers or puberty or whatever the case may be with that individual child. So the general concept is understanding your plants, understanding your family, understanding people in general, and trying to love them at their level, because some absolutely need additional care, and some of them just run off. You don't even know. Sometimes they'll break an arm, and then they're like, you know what, I'm still growing. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. And so we talk about just spindly vines pulled out of the ground. I mean, how many times have you gone to a grocery store or a big box store and just said, pinch? I want you to be a part of my family. And it's crazy because that's what we do essentially with friends, with spouses. We meet someone and we're like, you're going to be in my family now. And we touched on that a little bit in the last video about your vibe attracting your tribe. And as you learn plants and understand how they're trying to speak to you, you can adjust accordingly. Again, I bought this plant from a lady. She was closing down her shop, and it's barely hanging on. We got some yellowing leaves, but we got a lot of nodes, a lot of individual vines in there, so we can clean this up, get some propagations going, and before you know it, it's going to be thriving. But again, we have to care for it on its level, because I can't treat it the same way I do this large, lush, healthy Snow Queen Pothos that we got from Bee's Tropicals. Bee Tropical Nursery and Aquatic something. I'm sorry, my eyes aren't working this morning. And I mentioned that, you know, Pothos are easy. We have nothing here. We have a little bit of water over here in a pot, and so this recently plucked Pothos is just going to get chopped up and thrown in a vase or this coffee cup. This coffee cup belonged to my mother. It was incredibly valuable to me because she gave me my first birds of paradise. It was far too large to bring down here with me, and I'm kind of sad I left it. I can't say I left it. I bestowed it to someone else. But we do that with plants a lot. We love them and we care for them, and then we send them off just like our young. You know, we rear them to a certain age and then say, hey, you got to go. You got to go figure this out on your own. You got to establish your own roots. And sometimes they flourish, you know, right off the bat. And sometimes they need additional care. I have family members who have far exceeded their expectations, the expectations they had for themselves, the expectations that family had for them. And they're still doing it. They're still blowing their own minds every day. And so if you are currently going through something, you know, maybe you just don't understand it yourself. Maybe those who are around you don't seem to understand it. And it's hard. I cannot coach you on what you need or how to go about communicating that to the people around you. It's absolutely not an excuse to say that. Hi, Emily. You know, it's not your choice to say this is just how I am. I'm not allowed to change just because somebody's not allowed to meet you on your level. But at the same time, too, it's just not an excuse for bad behavior. Growth is inevitable. It's something that all humans and hopefully all plants do. And with that being said, we need to encourage that. And anything you do to stifle it, you know, might be out of ignorance. But trying new things and paying attention to those who came before you and trying to learn from their wisdom is very important. And I think sometimes we all just want to do it our own way. We want to reinvent the wheel, but most don't succeed. So we've got this crazy family. Some of them mutated. They grow very slow. They really just can't be expected to carry on like the rest of us, but they need to be loved and cherished and kept in the community. Sometimes they're weak and uncared for, and they are going to need a special spot right on your window to make sure that they're not rotting under your nose. We have friends who will just go all day and say, I'm okay, I'm fine. Just put it on my shoulder. And you got to watch them. You got to make sure that those friends are okay. You got to pour into them. And sometimes even when they don't want to be poured into, you got to make sure that they know they're loved from afar. Again, I can't coach you on how to do that because I don't know your friends. But you got to take the time to sit there and observe and say, am I doing enough? Am I helping in the right ways? So, we've covered those. Again, this syndapsis, I know we're doing okay because we got some root growth here at the end. But again, the original roots are just barely hanging on. So that's going to be a full repot. And again, you got those overgrown friends. Maybe they've just been sitting in the back, not getting paid attention to, and you got to pull them out into the light every now and again. Make sure that they know that you still love them. And I don't know if those are weird analogies or not hitting because I'm an amateur at this. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist. I'm just a guy that's been going through it for 40 years, and I've observed a lot of people. I've listened to a lot of people, and I know myself. Love you. Thank you for stopping in. I have needed to be put on the front shelf sometimes, and I've also been forgotten sometimes. So I know what it's like, and you got to speak up. That's the hardest part, is being able to communicate with those you love, and plants don't have voices, so you got to be able to pay attention and catch stuff like rot, early on. Or you gotta say, these roots aren't healthy, let's change the medium. This one's growing in what looks like cocoa peat, just some really easy stuff you often find tropical plants in, and it's great for nurseries. It's great for greenhouse situations where drip irrigation or bottom watering just happens with the flip of the switch. But when you're watering 200 plants, and they're in different mediums, this one's going to dry out really fast. Whereas this one, it's got some chunks and some soil and stuff, it's going to hold on to a little bit of that moisture. And if you just water it all on Saturdays, they're not all going to thrive. This guy needs either the same soil or it's going to need additional care. And it's not telling me who joined, so I can't say hi or bye specifically. I only got to see Emily's comment, so if you're popping in, feel free to say hi. Hopefully I'm not sideways on your screen. I don't know how this works really. This is only number 2. But again, this is going to be uploaded to YouTube, where again we're trying to create access to this for everyone. I don't know. It's probably not the most collegiate thing in the world. You're not going to get incredibly advanced data or breaking news. You're just going to kind of get my thoughts on life and plants, and hopefully it's all positive. Hopefully it all resonates within you at least a little bit. And when you get done with this video, you either go think for a second or go check on your plants and say, you know what, this one does need a little more water today. But that's really the thing I take away, is we've got a wide variety of friends, family members, and plants, and we got to make sure we're checking on them. We got to make sure we tell them we love them and we hear them. But at the same time, too, we've got to encourage them to grow their own roots. If you water a pothos every day, it's going to rot. And that doesn't make sense because you can grow them directly in water. So how is one going to do one and then the other? It's much like the adage of water boiling an egg. Same water that makes an egg firm will make potatoes soft. And so you have to love everybody on their own level, because I love potatoes in all forms, but I cannot boil a French fry and expect it to be crunchy. Does that make sense? At this point, I kind of feel like I'm just rambling. I actually have to do a lot of repotting here, so I might do some POV videos on that. I was trying to go fast forward to sport variegation, but I think that's yet again just a euphemism for everyone's different, and you gotta pay attention, because there are a lot of gems out there, special people, magnificent people that you just wouldn't otherwise think special. You might even think them sick, you know, but once you give them that care or pay attention to them and hear that story, you might be like, oh, there's something special about this one. And I don't mean like Kanye. So with that, I'm going to let you guys laugh at my videos. Share it with a friend. I'm sure share it with a family member, whether they can't keep a Pothos alive, or whether you want to let them know that they're heard and this is a happy, safe place where we want everybody to be healthy. You know, just put it out there. Share it for me. My sister said on the last video there might have been a little audio quality issue. Real faint, real soft. I have a miniature microphone in this time. Let me know if that works. If you can, comment on the YouTube link. That'll just help me get clicks everywhere. And I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for tuning in yet again, and goodbye.